Howdy folks, Rebecca Jolly here from Jolly Alchemy. Welcome to today's Neutrino forecast. We are going to be looking at Wednesday, the 3rd of September, 2025. So we're in the very last version of the left angle cross of migration, looking generally all around what is going on with that gate 40, this ego, out of the ego center. It's this 40th gate, the gate of aloneness and providing the love of work, resources for the community. So at the 6 line level, what's happening here is that we've really gone almost beyond the hexagram. The sixth line of any hexagram has it in its body. So it's not really thinking about it, it's just doing it. What it's really thinking about or looking at is the next gates beyond. And in this case, those are 63 and 64. Consciousness, which is coming next. Never fear, we'll get to that. But because we're in this 6th line, it's, yes, living it, embodying it, but really looking towards the nature of not only the whole channel, but the whole entire circuitry. So in this case, the 37 and the 40 in line 6 are looking at tribal circuitry in general. They're looking at the nature of what it is to have resources, to bring in resources, and say why, especially 37. But let's start with 40 because that's at the top. So 40 line 6 is called exclusion by 64 keys. Now 64 keys sometimes has softened the language just a little bit to make it more palatable, especially to a wider audience and a commercial audience, because they are specifically focused towards making large groups, but it's commercial groups, businesses. There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't find it. Anyway, it's a business application is basically what they're looking at there. So they don't really want to piss anybody off. Of course, 64 keys has softened it to exclusion from what Ra called it, which is decapitation. There's an interesting one, right? So it's about excluding forces in order to protect the group. Okay, fine. So what are we talking? We've been talking an awful lot about exclusion of forces. Well, in the 6th line, it gets to be excluding inferior forces. So we're looking at all these people that are coming in and recognizing that the 40th gate has the ability to work and has the ability to provide. And so it's usually talking about excluding negative forces. Now we've gotten to the 6th line, we're talking about inferior forces. What's an inferior force? An inferior force is someone who's making an unfair or unrealistic demand on that 40th gate. And Ra says, children who have this line, you should never make them an unfair bargain. If you promise them something, you better deliver it, or they are going to decapitate you. They are going to really, really take that badly. So, note to self. Now, there's an interesting thing here. Usually when we're talking about arrows on a hexagram, the energy is leaning towards one end or the other. In this case, it's leaning to both, which means there's a capacity here for the extremes, both extremes, to be active. So this is an extreme version of this line active here in our daily mission. So I'm going to read you both the up and the down arrow, yeah? The up one, authority and selectivity of ego to exclude only those that pose a threat to the group. Okay, there we have that bit of it. The other end of the spectrum from there is exclusion of negative forces is carried out with cruel relentlessness, and that includes the innocent. So as an example of that, Ross speaks about the French Revolution, where the excesses and crimes of a few of the upper class led to the entire landed gentry being persecuted and damn near exterminated as they were sent to the guillotine. The innocent were oftentimes excluded in this cruel decapitation, this exclusion of forces, this, we're definitely keeping you out because what you're asking is unfair. Now, I'm not saying that the French nobility weren't wrong. They absolutely were wrong. In kind of the same way, come to think of it, that the super rich are wrong today. And that is why today we have this same energy of people going around saying, we should eat the rich. Because there's this feeling of these people are not on our side. They are negative forces. They are asking unfair things of us, and they have an unfair advantage that needs to be excluded. So it's an interesting kind of bizarre and really extreme kind of energy that we're exploring here in this day or so that we're feeling this energy. 37-6, on the other hand, 64 Keys calls appreciation. Ra calls it purpose, because it's about looking for more than just support from the 40. It's looking for the whole entire system and saying, okay, yeah, it's about, it's about resources, it's about money, but that's just business. Surely there must be something more. The 64 Keys definition is to recognize and honor the values of the community. So we really are talking about loving the community, being a part of the community, supporting the community, but for something more. So this line in particular is looking for something spiritual. The 3740 is a spiritual bridge between the 19... where do we see it here? Oh, no. No, that's the splenic side. So this is that side. Okay. I'm just wondering why this doesn't have the 49 for me, but we'll look at that later. Okay, so the 1949 here, coming from the root to the emotional center, is all about, marriage, divorce, getting ready to set up the circumstances for making the deal. Then we have the deal actually being made here, and this energy, once it comes to the emotional center, it doesn't want to go out this end. It doesn't want to go up the money end. It wants to go here. So you have the spiritual thing going from 51 to 25. And then out from the 10 to the 20 is where this is all going, energetically speaking. And it's all about spirituality and rising up. So these people are not looking for bread. They're looking for manna, according to Ra. So they're looking really for spiritual food. And since one of my mentees long term carries this exact energy in this exact line, I totally see her definition there. She comes to me over and over again when it's her idea, for that spiritual sustenance, that spiritual guidance. And of course, I gave her the best I could, but she takes in what she wants of it and does what she wants with it. So it's sort of the nature of being a mentor. You can't always take your students as far as you would like them to go. You see the possibility for them to make great strides, but usually it's just a matter of how small are the baby steps. Well, this comes around to the adage that was taught to me by a dear friend long ago, and that is age-appropriate behavior. We've got to make some concessions and realize that the young people are just doing what's appropriate to their age. You can't really blame them for that. They've got to learn. They don't know until they do learn, and sometimes you can't tell them. They have to learn themselves. So there's that energy there. All right, so the moon comes in at 54-1, and 54 is the gate of ambition. That's on this side here. And heading towards the spleen in this channel of success or continuity. And, oh, that's why, because it's over here. I was looking at my partner's chart and not mine. I was like, where the fuck is that 49? There it is. All right, so now I'm okay. Influence through secret relationships. So the moon will be moving through all of gates of 54, the gates of ambition, and we will get to those, but I think not soon. And then when it's done with 54, it will move into 61. That's Mysteries of the Universe there. And my partner also has that here in this middle channel. And then it will move to 60, which is down here in the root center, and that is that holding of traditional values, what we're currently feeling in the Pluto energy. So that tightly grasping onto the old and not quite ready to release and allow what is new, which of course we're definitely seeing in the global sphere now. So that's the first of our people energies in the moon. The second is, of course, in Mercury, which is moved to 59-2, shyness behind self-imposed walls. 59 as a gate, being, of course, this gate of sexuality. There, coming out of the sacral center and going towards the emotional center. It will also move to 59-3 over the course of the day, so that is openness, general openness to becoming intimate. And if these things are sounding familiar to you, that's because we just went through these in our daily transit, daily mission energy, just like a week and a half ago. So yeah, when we were doing the 55-59 energy there. Let's see, Mercury moves to 33-3, and it will also move to 33-4 today, so I'll give you that one. 33-3 is spirit, maintaining the spirit in retreat, and 33-4, which happens to be my personal activation, dignity, dignified retreat for regeneration. So, of course, when we're talking about the 33rd gate, we're talking about this gate up here, out of the throat, and it's looking for being in private and listening and talking to people, talking about secrets and lessons learned from the past. All right, excuse me. Our Mars energy, which is the last of our people energies for today, moves to 57-3, acuteness of perfected intelligence, it says. And this, of course, is a reminder to us that this 57th gate coming out of the splenic center is a gate of intelligence, because the spleen itself is our center of intelligence. Now, you may think that intelligence is handled by people who have head definition up here, but that is absolutely not the case, because really, in many cases, our smartest people are open in both the mind and in the crown. So there's pluses and minuses to every single kind of activation. And of course, it is impossible to have crown activation without also having mind activation. So you don't ever get the crown defined by itself. The only three permutations that are possible are both defined, the head defined and the crown open, or as it is on this chart right next to it, there's both of them undefined. So these are the only three options that you can have for those top two centers there. All right, and let's see, 57, our global energies are staying the same. Our song for today, kind of an interesting choice. It was We're All in This Together, and that's from the High School Musical, and in this case put on by Disney. Not a big fan of Disney. What a homogenizing force that is. However, it's very upbeat. We're all in this together. We're all a family. And yet you can also, because it's about high school, you can feel on the edges of it the exclusionary forces. We're only here together because we're forced to be here together. And we would definitely, within that crowd, exclude some people. So I see those kinds of energies swirling around. And I thought, there it is. There's the energy of that sixth line. Yeah, we're all in this together. We're honoring the values of the community, but we're also recognizing that the community is definitely also exclusionary to some extent. So there we have that. And as I said, tomorrow we will begin. It has actually technically begun today, but because each of these days is slightly shorter missions, shorter than 24 hours, I have to handle the jump over on it. And I felt like last time I jumped over a little bit too early, so I'm hanging on a little bit longer, but I am telling you a little bit of what's coming up, and that is, of course, 63 and 64 coming out of the crown. We'll be feeling that energy starting into the day. And of course, our connections for today, now that the 10 is gone through from yesterday, we still have the 20th gate connecting down to the 57 for a nice energy of intuitive, uh, intuitive speaking in the now. Yeah, the flash of inspiration. So the flash of inspiration is still going to be possible as long as Mars is moving through 57, and of course our Uranus is in 20. So as long as the two of those are together, we've got this flash of inspiration possible. So if you're looking for flashes of inspiration, now is the time to be really, getting yourself connected. If you don't have that connection naturally in your body, you'll be getting it through the transit, whereas normally you would need to, say, go to a coffee shop or a library or train station to be able to get that activated in your body, to have that flash of inspiration. Now, for this little bit, you can have it sitting at home all by yourself. So that's something. See you tomorrow. Come back for another neutrino forecast. Ciao.